Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Tanner's Favorite Things. I'm Tanner Knight, and today we've got a project here. I'm not going to divulge too much right now about what this is, but this particular guitar has always suffered this little chip here, and I tried to fill it in with some of my wife's nail polish, but it was a fool's errand there, so it looks terrible. It's got that spot open, an open gash right there, but it's in the perfect spot to relic this thing. So I'm going to take this Tele and relic the body. I have some tools over here that I think I'm going to use. I've got some sandpaper, some kind of heavier and lighter grit, a ball peen hammer, this tire lever. This is for my dirt bike, but I'm going to use it to go around the edges. And then I have this heat gun here, which is just standard issue. But all right, so what is this? Well, it's nothing special. This is a Squier Telecaster, and I think this is the Affinity series. It doesn't say, but it's the cheapest one that they make to my knowledge. And it's not a bad guitar. It's actually a very nice little Telecaster guitar, but it's always had that little blemish there, which as a player is right in your face. Excuse the shadows here, but just want to kind of give you the full picture of this guitar. So it's a pretty new guitar, as you can tell. It has plastic over the pickguard, so we're going to address that as well. But let's go ahead and get started on heating up this finish so that we can make some indentations and marks and hopefully get some of it to come off of the edges to make it look like an actual Relic cool guitar.
Alright, so we're going to speed this up for your enjoyment here, but in order to do this we need to remove the strings. So I am doing that right now. Got to cut them out because they became kind of a tangled mess, but that's okay. Now I'm going to remove all of the hardware, starting with the neck, and here you can see a little marking on the neck if you want to pause that, and the neck pocket. This is what's inside this guitar. Looks like I missed that a little bit, but next we are going to remove the pickguard and the neck pickup, and next the bridge with the bridge pickup, which with a Telecaster both are attached to each component, so just by removing the pickguard you remove the pickup. Same with the bridge. So we take the control cavity out of there as well, and then I'm going to take some pictures to make sure I can put this back together, snip the pickups, and then we should be able to pull all of the wiring out of this body, including the output jack. Alright, so it is completely bare. Here's a look at the pickguard, and we get to do this. Who doesn't love seeing plastic being pulled off of a plastic part? Okay, so I'm going to apply heat to the upper bow of this guitar first and soften up the paint, soften up the wood, and that way it'll just be a little more natural looking, starting with the ball peen hammer to create some indentations, and you can actually see a little black mark where the heat gun caused the filler to catch flame or just get a little hotter. But now I'm going to hit each of the edges with the 60 grit sandpaper as well as the top, so take that luster off of this poly finish and really hit the edges hard because that's where most wear happens on any guitar. So just going over this and tapping the bottom part now after applying heat. And this technique I found to be very successful, basically going around the edges with a hard tool and compressing the wood so that the paint chips away in a more natural way, and then sand it down so it's smooth. Going over everything with the sandpaper and the ball peen hammer. Now I'm kind of just going to town with the metal side of this tool, just creating some chips and dings and things that would cause character marks. Now I've attacked the back, and you can see a big chunk of paint chip off there. And I'm just doing the same process to the back. Heat gun, the ball peen hammer, the edge treatment, and sandpaper. Now just adding a few more nicks and dings. Next, I wanted to add a little stain into the wood parts, so I just have this dark stain, this Minwax stain that I'm just applying all over the bare wood and the body itself. So just adding a little bit of color, a little bit of grime, and wiping it down, adding another layer, a little blacker this time. Starting to come together though, wiping it down, get all that excess off of there, clean it up.
So I think I'm getting pretty close to being done with the actual relicking portion of this. I feel like adding that dye aged it up a bit because that maple's pretty damn bright underneath there. So it darkened it up a bit, added some kind of mystery aging and just different textures, I guess, to the color. Otherwise, I think the body's looking pretty good. We've got some good wear marks on the high traffic spots. This is the most bare spot, and I really went to town with the sander here to get through the finish, so that looks pretty cool actually. I think I want to do one more kind of chemical treatment to this, but I haven't decided what. I think something to make it look a little darker and dingier still, but not just like a stain. But this is looking pretty dang good. I like it. I feel like I'll be more apt to pick this guitar up and play it now that it looks like an old vintagey guitar rather than a new guitar that just happened to be dinged. So let's see if I can get one more round of chemical on this and we'll call it good. So I saw a video that Coca-Cola was recommended for this process, so I do not recommend drinking soda. I just happen to have this one in my house. I do not drink Coke Zero, as you can tell by the lack of carbonation. Let's just fucking... So I'm just going to let it sit like this for an hour or two. We'll see, maybe the whole afternoon. And we'll come back to it. All right, I was hoping to do the final reveal outside, but it's raining today, so this is the next day, and I finished, well, the body at least. I haven't done anything to the hardware or the neck, which we'll take a closer look at, but let's take a look at kind of the job that I did here on this here Squier Tele. I also tried to relic the pickguard just slightly. It just kind of looks used, but all right, let's take a look. This is the kind of most important section to me because this is where that ding initially was, and I sanded the hell out of this and really got through the clear coat, through the whatever color that was, kind of dull gold, and really went to town on this edge, and I think it turned out really good. And my biggest gripe, I guess, is due to the fact that this poly finish is so thick that there are kind of feelable or noticeable edges where the paint has chipped away, and I don't know if I can get this on there, but you can see that it's not quite flush. And if this were a nitro finish or even an older poly finish, any wear would happen very smoothly and there would be no kind of sticking up paint bits. But that's the nature of this thick, gross ass poly on these Squiers. The good news is that I was able to dull it up quite a bit with the 60 grit sandpaper. I feel like that took the edge off of the poly and made it look a little bit more like a nitro finish. And the weird thing about this particular guitar is that the maple wood is not what you see through this finish. I mean, you can see through it a little bit, but there is a hue, a tint to this finish that's made it to look like a butterscotch Tele. But the way that they make the butterscotch tellies in the U.S. and I think in Mexico too is that they stain the wood so that it is that color instead of having a poly plastic finish on top of bare wood that gives that hue, which is exactly what happens here with Squier. So with that said, you can see that the maple that they use is kind of crappy. I think it's Chinese maple, but it could be sourced from somewhere else. Either way, it's very light in color. It's kind of light in every aspect. But let's take a look at the rest of this job here and go down the rest of the horn, because this is the part that you see as a player, and I think it turned out nice. I can't really find too many flaws that I say, oh, that looks terrible, but you know, these nicks and dings here that came from scraping the edge, they're supposed to emulate honest playwear, and I think that they do a pretty good job of that, minus the ledge of the poly finish. I think that I could probably sand that down a bit more, maybe get an orbital on there and smooth those little bits out, but this was all hand so far. So let's take a look at the bottom edge. I kind of went subtle, less is more type situation here because, you know, this is my very first time relicking a guitar, and I didn't want it to look like it had just gone through a washing machine and all the paint came off. So that's where it kind of like, I don't know, stage 2 or 2.5 of guitar wear on Trogley's guitar wear scale. And if you go any further into the 3 and 4, then a lot of the paint has to be removed in a lot of places. So that's the front. Here's the back. Back came out pretty good too. The edges, I think, are pretty much the most honest looking from a distance, and the back has a lot more pitting and scraping, and I kind of went to town on the back because the back does see more abuse than the front typically, especially if you are in Texas and you got belts that are being worn, then your guitar is going to have some buckle warming. But I didn't go into the hardware, like I said, or the neck. So I'm thinking about possibly doing just a quick sand of the neck to get the factory finish off and see if that looks okay, feels okay. But I don't want to do too much to the neck because it's a very bright maple, and in all likelihood it's going to get colorized on its own just from me handling it. I have, I don't know, pretty sweaty hands, one might say, and it definitely affects the tint of these polyurethane lacquers. So I'd have to play this thing about 3 hours a day for the next 2 years for that to happen quickly, but you know, hopefully over time that will happen and this guitar will age a bit more naturally. Like I said, the light colored maple sticks out kind of a bit in my mind, just because if this were a nitro or an earlier poly butterscotch telly, no way would that happen. But either way, I think it looks pretty cool. Looks like it's been road worn and it's been around the block. Like I said, this was a fairly new Telecaster. I think it's a 2023 guitar based on that serial number. So this has only been around a couple years, but it looked brand new other than that one ding up here. So that's what we've done. Dulled it up very much so, added a bunch of little nicks and dings, and scraped the edges so that the paint kind of chips naturally, and I think it came out pretty good. It was a low cost investment, $0 to do the relicking other than, I guess, the sandpaper. But the Telecaster itself is about a $200 guitar, so if you want an older style looking Telecaster or Stratocaster or any Fender guitar for that matter, you can pick up one of these Squiers for that $200 and relic it yourself. So let's just go ahead and hear how this thing sounds before we leave you. It doesn't really affect the sound at all, and in fact it doesn't affect it at all, but you know, this is a guitar, and if we don't play it, then how will we know? So here is the sound sample of this Squier Telecaster guitar. All right, so today I'm just plugging into my Vox AC10, which is a 10-inch tube-powered 10-watt amp by Vox. It's in the AC line like the AC15, AC30, only it's the 10-watt, 10-inch version. So this is plugged into that via my pedal board, so we will get some effects in here as well. But just the clean with this Telecaster, it sounds like this. And these are brand new strings, so please excuse the snark. I'm probably gonna have to tune up quite a bit throughout this playing demo, but we're not gonna spend a lot of time listening to this thing. It is a Telecaster after all. If you wanna hear what a Telecaster sounds like, there's a million videos of players better than me who can show you exactly what it's capable of. But this is a very capable guitar, speaking of capability. So let's play this thing a little bit and hear what it sounds like. I spent a little bit of time intonating this guitar as well. That went a long way in improving the playability and quality of this guitar. And once it was set up, it's just a nice, simple Telecaster. Let's hear a little bit higher up the neck. It's already out of tune. Again, new strings. Let me tune up real quick. Go ahead and throw a tube screamer in front of that and see what a little dirt sounds like. So nice crunch sound. Let's hear something with a little more gain. Here's the JHS Nauticlon with this Telecaster rig. That's already a little bit louder than it was before. I'm gonna have to adjust the audio on this microphone. Yeah, that's very usable tone. We're not getting too rowdy so that it's squealing all over the place. That's something that used to be a problem with these Squier electronics. They're dead quiet, so great job, Squier, in that regard. So let's wrap this up here. This guitar is by no means a very expensive or precious guitar. You could tell, by the way, I hit it with a hammer a bunch of times. So that's kind of the fun aspect of these Squier guitars, is that you can treat them with a little bit more abandon and take a few more risks. Would I do this with a US Tele or even a made in Mexico Tele? I don't think so. I feel like those guitars will age on their own just from playing. These Squiers, there's so many of them that it's possible that a guitar made in 2018, 2019 has really been picked up once or twice in its entire life. That's obviously not the case with this one. It ended up in the right house, but you can say that about a lot of guitars, and we want to fight that. That's kind of the enemy. We want guitars to get played and to get loved and to get worn in naturally. And just as an example here, I happen to have my PRS McCarty SE 594. This is a nitro finish out of the Maryland plant with this PRS S2 guitar. And it is, you know, a very nice guitar, but it's starting to wear naturally right there. And I kind of tried to emulate that location on this one because that's happening very, very naturally on this one, just because I pick it up and I play it all the time, and this nitro finish is admittedly much thinner, so it's going to wear quicker. And to me, that's cool. That's evidence that the guitar was loved, that it was played, that it makes great sounds, and that it has something to offer. So I think you should really think about your guitars as tools and things to be used instead of things to be coveted and things that are super precious. And of course, there are specific examples that deserve to be held back and coveted. We're talking about the really, really expensive early 50s Gibsons and stuff like that. But this is not that. This is a cheapo, China-made Fender Squier guitar, and to me, it's the perfect platform for a project like this. So did it come out absolutely perfectly? I can't say as such. I didn't expect it to, so that's kind of the good news, but it came out good enough to where I like how it looks, and I'm gonna continue playing it, and I might even add a few more dings and character marks throughout the next couple of months or year, just to, you know, see if we can raise the quality of this Relic job. Either way, it's a guitar that I enjoy playing, and I like it even more now that it is reliced, and it's not just that one little witness mark up here. It's the whole thing has seen it, been there and done that. So that's what I wanted to accomplish with this video. So let me know what you think about this Relic job. One last look. Let me know if there's anything you think I should try, if I can add to it without really throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I don't want to sand all of the finish off and start from scratch. But if you have any suggestions, leave them in the comments below. So I'm Tanner Knight. Please like and subscribe if you like this type of content, and I hope to see you on the next one.